Motivation is a funny thing, isn't it? I often find when I start out on a new adventure, perhaps a new goal that I'm striving after, maybe to get into better shape or to start a new creative project, I have a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around it. My motivation is high. And perhaps you feel the same. Maybe you started this new year with a resolution that you were going to change, that you were going to do something different this year. And for the first few weeks of January, that motivation was great and it was carrying you through. But after a few weeks, that motivation starts to die off and the reality of what you've set out to do starts to sink in. You realise that, it's not all sunshine and rainbows and you're going to have ups and downs along the way. Perhaps it's harder than you anticipated it being. Or maybe you just have lost some of that excitement for what it was that you were after. And it can be very, very easy in those times to give up, to get so unmotivated and down and depressed that it just doesn't feel worthwhile. And I like to call this the dead zone. You see, our motivation when we start something new always starts up here. We're very passionate to start with, and over time the motivation starts to drop off, and over time we end up in this period down the bottom here that I like to term the dead zone, because it's where our dreams often go to die. We have this idea at the start that we set off on, but actually when it gets down into the muck and the nitty gritty of doing it day in, day out, every day, it can be very, very hard to stay upbeat about it, and we want to often quit when it gets hard. But I want to offer you a bit of encouragement today, some light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. You see, the other side of the dead zone is where results lie. The other side of that dead zone, motivation, comes back because we start to see the change that we've been looking for. If we can make it through that period at the bottom, and it may be, quite a long time, it can be weeks or months, sometimes even years that you spend in this dead zone before you get the results that you're looking for. But when you start to get those results, motivation starts to uptick again, and it just exponentially grows. You almost grow into this new person, this new thing, a new creation. And getting through that dead zone is honestly sometimes the most difficult thing to do, but also it's the most rewarding. Looking back and seeing, I didn't quit, I didn't give up when the going got tough, I got going. And I think that's what often separates the successful people from the unsuccessful. And if you're watching videos like this, then I'm sure you fall into the former category. You want to be successful, you want to get results in your life, you want to grow as a person. And the only way to do that is to not give up, is to keep going. So how do we go into this dead zone, and how do we progress through it? What are some tips, tricks, ways that are useful for just keeping ourselves ticking along? The way I like to look at it is that it is a marathon and not a sprint to get through the dead zone. The sprint philosophy would say that you need to be doing more, you need to be going harder, trying harder, pushing, and you'll get through. And whilst that may be true, I've often found that it's at those times when I've pushed hardest and really just ground myself into the dirt, trying to achieve something, to change maybe, that I've actually quit. They're the times when I've given up because it was just too difficult. I was putting too much pressure on myself, and you may be the same. You may find that you put far too much pressure on yourself to, get instant results. And I found actually the most sustainable and the simplest way of getting through that dead zone is just to choose to do one thing towards your goal every day. So if you were, looking at the gym for an example, no, you don't need to go and work out every day, but do something that contributes towards your progress. Maybe take 5 minutes to stretch out or to go for a walk. Even on a day like today when it's grim and rainy, I've made the time to come out for a short walk and to record this video because I knew you needed to hear it today. But when you get into those rhythms and you start to build small, consistent habits that you can do over time, they really start to compound. And before you know it, you'll be through the dead zone and into the results section. And then the motivation will come back because you can see the progress that you're making. But if you're not really sure where to start with this, what habits maybe to implement in your life to get you to where you want to be, then I'd like to offer you the opportunity to explore that with me. I offer the Simple Living Blueprint. It's linked down in the description, and it's a short ebook, completely free, that will guide you through some of the foundational habits that I've found in my life that have really helped to transform me from this place where often I would just quit and give up in the dead zone because I didn't have a method to get through it. I was overcomplicating things and it just didn't really sit very well with me until I developed this system that I could work through, and I knew that each day I was, even if it was very, very small progress, I was still making progress. And that took me through those dead zones in a lot of areas of my life, and actually to a place where I really started to get some noticeable and quite transformative results. So I think the crux really of the message of that blueprint, and also of this video, is just to stack the small daily wins. If you feel like giving up, if you feel like you're at a point where you just want to quit, keep going, but just do one little thing towards that goal each day. And you'll find over time that those results compound, and you suddenly find yourself on the other side of the dead zone, looking back at, who you were, where you were, and seeing just how far you've come. So I hope that's encouraged you today, and do let me know in the comments if there's anything that you're on the verge of perhaps quitting and you want some advice or some help to just get you over the hump, get you through that dead zone and into the results the other side. Thanks for watching. Drop me a subscribe if you liked the video, and until next time, take care. God bless.